If you don't press down hard, you might have a chance to move it. But once you've pressed down and fixed it in place, it's there. And now our 4 spars are in place.
そーっとひっくり返して今度はですね、まずここののりしろにのりをつけて折って貼りますね。これが大事なことは全部すべての場所に入る。
Now that 1 centimeter edge of paper that we folded over in the very first step, we fold over the horizontal spar that is in place and the diagonal ends, and so that we provide a bond between paper and bamboo to fix those pieces in place so there's no slippage. This also helps to hold those spars together so that structurally our kite remains intact. Now we place 5 reinforcement papers, again to keep the frame from moving on the kite and to give the paper a little extra strength at each corner and at the center of the bottom. We try not to use too much glue here, but enough to cover the patch, and then we place the patch exactly in the corner over the spars. One of the things we try to do in placing these paper patches in the corners and over the spars is to really mold the paper to the bamboo frame and to the base sail paper. It's very easy with the paper being moist from the glue to mold it right around the bamboo, so you have a very good bond between paper and bamboo and paper to paper. This will ensure that if the kite hits the ground or even crashes, that the paper won't tear. Here, Toki-san uses his fingernail to ensure that bond. When we look at all these steps together, you can see that there's nothing difficult about any of them, but you also see the care that Toki-san takes as he does each of the steps. One mistake can cause a problem that is not fixable, and so we try to make sure that everything we do is accurate. Well, our kite's in one piece, but now it's time to really make it into a flyable kite. We have to add a bridle to the kite sail and to the kite frame. The bridle is simply the string that holds the kite into a flying position when it's in the air. If we take the top half from the center to the top spar and divide it into thirds, we poke 2 holes next to the center spar, 1/3 down from the top. And now we have a chance to go back and repair a little problem.
上から3分の1
Make sure that center spar is sticking to the
これ
paper.
糸目をつけるためです。こっちもですね 3分の1ですね、約3分の1。
And so again, now we look at the center spar, now from the center to the bottom of the kite sail, and again 1/3 from that center cross. We poke another 2 holes.
糸目の糸はこういう風に輪になるようにつきます。こうなるようにつきます。もちろんタコがこう上がるわけですから、この前になきゃいけないですね。これが前ですね。それで糸目をつけていきますが、この両端を縦骨にくるんで結ぶ。
Now, if you notice, we're working from the front of the kite's sail.
前から通して
We push our
後ろからまた前です。
line through from the front, around the back, around the spar, back out the other hole
そして
to the front of the kite, and now we tie a simple series of overhand knots.
普通の本結びですね。
Just
1回
1,
2回。
then 2,
まあ2回で十分ですが、もう1回ね、
and
3回やればもっ
3
と
overhand knots. Think of it as tying a square knot with an extra, and that will stay secure. And now with the other end of line, we go through one hole, around the spar, out the other hole, again working on the front of the kite, with about 2 or 3 inches of extra line, and 3 knots. 1, 2, 3, and our bridle is now fixed to our kite.
そして今度はですね、この糸目を中心が合ってないとタコが上がらないですね。例えばあんまり上の方だとくるくるくるくるタコがここに回ってしまいますよ。だからそれを調節するいいシステムをこれから作ります。
The one thing critical to making your kite fly is how it's bridled, how it sits against the wind. If its angle is too high, it will fly over the wind and soar and become unstable. If that angle is too low, it flies against the wind and doesn't rise. So we have to find a place on the bridle loop where we can attach our flying line so that the kite flies stably. This is the function of this small loop. We've tied the loop onto our bridle line, and you can see this gives us the ability to adjust how that kite will sit against the wind.
その位置までこれを持っていきます。ずっと持ってったらばここで
If we pull this kite line taut, that kite line is fixed somewhere between the top of the kite and that top bridle point. So from the top to about 1/6 of the way down the face of the kite.
まあこれで大体上がるはずなんですが、もしも上がっていかないようだったらこの最初の輪のやつをですね、パッと平らにして、これでもって少しこう動かすこと、ほんのちょっとですね、1ミリ。
Bridling kites might be the most difficult step, and it's really a case of trial and error. We find that this is our starting point for our bridle point, and then on the field we may be able to adjust it even closer so it flies better. Now we use a second piece of line, this one about twice as long as the horizontal spar, to make a bow line. This bow line gives our kite dihedral, or a bow like the side of a can, if you will, and that helps the kite to fly stably. A flat kite really can't fly stably because it doesn't know which way is up, if you will. But once that bow is placed in the top spar, the bow forces the kite to fly along its center line.